The Pacific class is a class of 22 patrol boats built by Australia and donated to 12 South Pacific countries, constructed from 1985 to 1997 and operated by militaries, coast guards or police forces of the 12 island nations. These boats are supported by the Pacific Patrol Boat Program. They are used primarily for maritime surveillance and fisheries protection, design and construction, following the introduction of the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea in 1982, which introduced a 200 nautical miles exclusive economic zone to the territories of all nations with an ocean coastline. Several Southwest Pacific island nations found themselves responsible for policing an area of ocean that was beyond the maritime capability, and often significantly larger than the land territories. Following requests by several Pacific nations for assistance from the governments of Australia and New Zealand, the Australian government created a defence cooperation project, the Pacific Patrol Boat Program, to design and provide suitable patrol boats to nearby island nations, along with training and infrastructure to support these ships. The program was officially announced by Australian Prime Minister Bob Hawke during the South Pacific Forum meeting held in Canberra on 29 and 30 August 1983. Requests for tenders were issued in August 1984, and the contract was awarded to Australian Shipbuilding Industries, who had designed a small vessel capable of maritime surveillance and interdiction, search and rescue operations, and fisheries protection on 9 May 1985. A prototype was constructed by ESI in 1984, smaller than the Pacific class. The craft was later sold to the Solomon Islands Police Force and named Savo. Construction of the Pacific class began in September 1985. It was initially planned that 10 ships would be produced for 8 countries, with the first ship, HMPNG Estarongatsu, delivered to the Papua New Guinea Defence Force on 16 May 1987. The program continued until 15 ships were ordered, then was terminated before being reopened in February 1993. By the time the program concluded, 22 ships had been delivered to 12 countries, with the final ship, FSS Independence, delivered to the Federated States of Micronesia in June 1997. The Pacific Patrol Boat Project is the largest and most complex defense cooperation project ever funded by Australia. Each patrol boat has a length of 31.5 meters, a beam of 8.1 meters, a draft of 1.8 meters, and a full load displacement of 162 tons. They are fitted with 2 Caterpillar 35160A diesel engines, which provide 2,820 horsepower to 2 propeller shafts, driving the vessel at a maximum of 20 knots. Pacific-class vessels have a maximum range of 2,500 nautical miles at 12 knots and can remain at sea for up to 10 days. Armament varies depending on the operating nation. The patrol boats may carry Gambio 120mm guns, 7.62mm machine guns, or 12.7mm machine guns, and these may not be permanently fitted. Each ship carries a Furuno 1011 surface search radar, which operates in the I-band. The ship's company varies between 14 and 18, depending on the operating nation. In order to reduce construction and maintenance costs, the vessels were built to commercial as opposed to military standards, and with the need for companies in the operating nations to be capable of providing parts and minor maintenance in mind. There were initial problems with the propellers, engine cooling systems, and air conditioning, but these were fixed before the completion of the third ship of the class. The class underwent refits during each ship's 7th or 8th year of operation, and again at the 15th year. This has extended the predicted service life of the class to 2027. Derivatives. Several variant designs for the Pacific class have been produced by Australian shipbuilding industries for a variety of operators. 4 patrol boats of a slightly shortened 31-meter design were produced for the Kuwait Coast Guard. An unarmed version of this design is also marketed to the operators of oil platforms as a crew transport. 6 modified versions of the Pacific class were built for the Hong Kong Marine Police as the Protector class. The main difference is the installation of a pump jet engine to supplement the main propulsion. A single navigation training vessel, Seahorse Mercator, was built for Defense Maritime Services in 1999, which operates the ship under contract to the Royal Australian Navy. Although the hull design is the same, the interior and superstructure are significantly modified. The Seahorse Mercator design was used as the basis for the Royal Canadian Navy's 8 Orca-class patrol vessels. Although Canadian engineers modified the Orcas to the point where they only share the basic hull shape with the Australian ship, a 35-meter, all-aluminium design based on the Pacific-class hull, the Ilocos Norte class, was created for the Philippine Coast Guard. 4 of these ships were delivered in December 2001, and are used as search and rescue vessels. An option for a follow-in order by the Philippines of 10 more ships was offered, but has not been used. The Ilocos Norte design was used in 2008 for the New South Wales Police Force patrol vessel Nemesis, the largest police-operated patrol boat in the Southern Hemisphere. Role and benefits. The Pacific-class patrol boats are used primarily for maritime surveillance and fisheries protection. They are often the only surveillance capability the operating nation has access to, and their presence has often deterred foreign fishing fleets. The ability to patrol the waters has provided boosts to economies through both fishing fines and improved negotiation stances when discussing foreign fishing rights and fees. As part of the patrol role, the Pacifics have been used for customs inspection of ships, and have stopped some smuggling and drug-running operations. Some nations charter the vessels out to other government agencies or private companies for salvage work, hydrographic surveying, or even tasks like helping to establish aquaculture farms. Pacific-class patrol boats have also seen use in humanitarian roles such as search and rescue, towing of disabled vessels, sea safety checks on vessels, and inter-island transport, particularly for disaster relief operations. The patrol boats also provide indirect benefits to the operating nations. Operation of the Pacifics has often required the expansion of maritime facilities, providing jobs and facilitating access for other ships. In addition to the economic boost from fishing fees and fines, improved hydrographic charts created by the ships contributes to boosting tourism. The ships are seen as miniature warships, and are a point of pride and prestige for the island nations. Crew training by the Australian Maritime College has increased the number of trained seafarers in the operating nations, improving the skill level of each nation's maritime sector. The Pacific Patrol Boat Program has also provided benefits to Australia and New Zealand. These nations enjoy an improved strategic presence in the region, and the naval advisors supplied to operating nations create personal networks within those nations, while improving the skill set and knowledge of the Pacific-class operators. These advisors regularly interact with officials from agencies outside the normal scope of diplomats, and can obtain political and strategic information inaccessible through other avenues. revenues. The naval advisors also allow the military-operated vessels to maintain links to larger naval forces. The ability for the operating nations to provide their own humanitarian support likewise reduces the need for Australian and New Zealand assets to become involved in relatively small-scale incidents. Support and infrastructure. Australian shipbuilding industries provide support facilities for the class in Brisbane, Australia, and Suva, Fiji. Crew training for the Pacific-class patrol boats is offered by the Australian Department of Defence and the Australian Maritime College. The AMC runs an average of 32 classes per year in support of the Pacific Patrol Boat Program. The AMC does not possess Pacific-class patrol boat to use as a training vessel. Instead, the 13-meter TV Pinjiro is fitted with identical electronic equipment. The cost of the project to Australia as of 1998 has been $249 million. Each recipient country has funded most operating costs, with the United States contributing to the costs of Palau, the Marshall Islands, and the Federated States of Micronesia through the Compact of Free Association. Following the 2006 Fijian coup d'etat, Fiji was suspended from the program and the associated support. Operators. 12 nations operate Pacific-class patrol boats as part of the military, Coast Guard, or police force. Papua New Guinea, Fiji, Federated States of Micronesia, Tonga, Solomon Islands, Cook Islands, Kiribati, Marshall Islands, Palau, Samoa, Tuvalu, Vanuatu. Ships sourced from replacement. The continuation of the Pacific Patrol Boat Program through a second generation of ships has been considered likely throughout the years, due to the benefits and capabilities provided to the operating nations, along with the work provided to the Australian shipbuilding industry. During the early 2000s, variants of the RAN's Armored L class or the RNZN's Protector class were considered appropriate, although there were concerns that such complex vessels would be too challenging and financially restrictive to maintain by some of the smaller, participating nations. A 2008 report also suggested discontinuing the program due to rising operational costs being imposed on Australia, poor operating rates linked to the operating nation's difficulties in crewing and maintaining the ships, and a lack of support from the other nations with interests in the Pacific. In June 2014, the Australian government announced that a replacement class of at least 20 vessels would be built by Australia as part of a new Pacific Patrol Boat Program. The $2 billion program will replace the existing Pacific-class vessels, plus include East Timor as a new recipient. A request for tender was opened to Australian shipbuilders on 5 March 2015 and concluded on 17 June. Tenderers are asked to submit proposals for a 40-meter steel hull vessel with a range of 2,500 nautical miles at 12 knots, a top speed above 20 knots, and an operational endurance of 20 days. The replacement patrol boats must be designed to commercial standards and easy to maintain. They will not be constructed with weapons fitted, but must be capable of having them installed later. Operation of the new patrol boats will be supplemented by aerial surveillance and intelligence from Australia, under the Pacific Maritime Security Program. In April 2016, Prime Minister Malcolm Turnbull announced that Austal had been selected to construct the future vessels. Citations